A chance observation in 1928 that mould in a contaminated petri dish killed bacteria led to a series of developments that revolutionised medicine and changed the lives of millions. The discovery is credited to Scottish scientist Alexander Fleming, but many were involved in its development, which was based on wider social and technological change. Fleming himself acknowledged this when he received the Nobel Prize in 1945. My only merit is that I did not neglect the observation and that I pursued the subject as a bacteriologist. My publication in 1929 was the starting point of the work of others who developed penicillin. Fleming's medical experience of treating patients during the First World War motivated him to investigate cures for infections which had killed many of the wounded. He lacked the necessary resources to develop his research further, but his work was taken up again by Jewish scientist Ernst Chain, who had fled Nazi persecution to work in Britain in 1933. Chain joined a team in Oxford, led by Howard Florey, to work on penicillin, but private medical companies were unwilling to work on mass-producing the drug. The outbreak of the Second World War in 1939 and heavy Allied casualties motivated the Oxford team to isolate the active chemical from the mould using technological advances unavailable to Fleming a decade before. The first successful penicillin treatment came in 1941, administered to a police officer infected by a minor cut. But supply of the experimental drug ran out and the patient died 5 days later. In June 1941, American President Franklin Roosevelt devoted resources to medical research, in particular work on penicillin, as intervention in the war became increasingly likely. State funding for private companies, coupled with America's large-scale scientific institutions, was central to the mass production of penicillin. But the government had had to fight to get rival drug companies to cooperate and share resources in the name of the war effort. US entry to the war made penicillin production a top priority and a highly secretive war project. Supplies were only made available to Allied forces, with 100 billion units of the drug supplied every month by 1944, and 7 million military patients treated per month by the war's end. After the war, penicillin was only provided to British and American civilians, with a thriving black market for the drug emerging in Europe. In 1945, Alexander Fleming, Ernest Chain and Howard Florey were awarded a joint Nobel Medicine Prize, and Fleming was awarded an honorary doctorate in 1954. Penicillin was a major indirect factor in the post-war population boom in the West. Ironically, Howard Florey advocated population control, believing population growth to be one of the most devastating things that the world has got to face for the rest of this century. However, most celebrate the drug as saving the lives of millions. Its delivery via the National Health Service in Britain and elsewhere became essential to a healthy population. But for many outside of the developed West, the crucial antibiotic remained unavailable.